everybody, welcome back to my channel, and today my topic is all about the Apollo program. The Apollo program was a series of 6 successful missions to the moon, but 2 of them were not successful because Apollo 1, unfortunately, there was a problem and all 3 of the astronauts died. On Apollo 11, history made the world because 3 astronauts, Collins, Neil Armstrong, and Aldrin, made it to the moon and back successfully and safely. So what was the Apollo program? It consisted of a big rocket called the Saturn V mixed with the Apollo program spacecraft inside, which were the lunar module, the command module, and the service module. To learn more information, the Washington, D.C. National Air and Space Museum has a lot of facts and ideas about space and flight for future space flight. This is the Saturn V rocket. The Saturn V rocket is really tall and it's 60 feet higher than the Statue of Liberty. When I researched, I found out that the most astronauts that were born in the United States came from Ohio. Ohio has more than 10 astronauts from there, including Neil Armstrong. The Saturn V is mostly fuel, and this very tiny part is the Apollo program. It consists of the first stage, the second stage, and the third stage. The engines on this first stage are as big as 3 humans stacked together. In a picture, the engine is way wider than the human too. In total, there's 5 big and main engines on the bottom. The Apollo programs happened between the 1960s to 1970s. This is the launch, and that's where a lot of people went because this was the start of each space exploration. This is located in Florida at the Kennedy Space Center. Each of these missions was launched by the same launch pad, and launch is one of the most hardest things for astronauts to accomplish during this mission, from what I researched. In total, it burns 12 minutes for the first stage, second stage, and third stage to become complete. By then, the spacecraft would be out of Earth's orbit and onto their way to the moon. The second thing astronauts have to accomplish is getting the lunar module from the third stage. When the third stage opens up like petals, the lunar module is revealed, and it turns around to retrieve it. After that, it continues heading to the moon in the direction of the orbit. It reaches the far side of the moon, and when this happens, 2 astronauts go into the lunar module and land on the moon. Only 1 astronaut stays on board to catch the lunar module when it's about to take off for Earth. When it goes back to Earth and 3 astronauts are in the command module, it returns and jet-sitions the service module. The service module only holds supplies and a little bit of fuel. So once it is near Earth's atmosphere, it lets go because it's not needed anymore. A safe plunge is returned to the Pacific Ocean. This idea is kind of like gravity issues because this figure 8 is because of gravity. I saw something similar at the Cosi Museum in Columbus because when a ball was inserted into a slot and there were 2 holes that were like a funnel, the ball was rotating around one before going to the other slot. This is because gravity is pulling it down. And so that's why they're orbiting around once before traveling to the next planet. This is the whole process, and the whole process takes more than a week because to the moon it takes a lot of light years. The command and service module was where most of the astronauts stayed for their flight. I've seen a lot of command modules from the return flights, and this is the only part of the spacecraft that returns to the Earth. So that's why in museums like the Washington Air and Space Museum, you can only see this part, or the command module. The command module and the service module are where most of the astronauts stay, so it has necessary items for a bathroom. But how do astronauts go to the bathroom? Astronauts go to the bathroom either more conveniently, like going to a normal bathroom, peeing in a hose which connects to space, and that space sucks that waste out, or they just throw waste into the bags and discard them on the moon so they wouldn't be contaminated by germs inside. Astronauts also need to eat on the moon on the journey to the moon. Scientists developed a way for scientists to eat food without it making a mess because the moon has no gravity. They suck out all the air into the food, which makes it have almost no flavor, and put it in these tubes. When they're ready to eat it, they just suck it up with their mouth. I've seen people in space, astronauts on the International Space Station, demonstrate how to brush their teeth or wash their hair. To wash their hair, they don't use water, and they just use shampoo that's put inside a tube, and when they squirt it in their hair, it becomes part of their hair and it's still shampooing it. The command and service module will stay in place, and this is where the mission control is. The mission control is on the lunar module and the command and service modules. Around here, it is a wreck because all the scientists are so nervous if the astronauts will make it or not. These are scientists from a long time ago, like in the 1960s, because there's not a lot of advanced technology. Like these TVs aren't really advanced because they just show an image that's not clear. The only time when this crew remains or it doesn't receive signal from the astronauts is when it's on the far side of the moon, when it's traveling over here. It is located in the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. I think they had a very hard time to control these astronauts, but I feel like the astronauts thought this was really helpful because they could know when the right time to do an activity, like get the lunar module. The Apollo program was a success. Even though there were thousands of parts that weren't tested before Apollo 11 or the first successful space flight to the moon, I think astronauts and scientists have accomplished a huge step in the 1960s to 1970s. Thank you for listening, and I hope you like and subscribe to my channel.